recording. There we go. It's recording, so I can actually give Chris this video too.
Great. Okay, and I'm going to shoot him a text right now too to see what's where he's at.
Okay. Thank you, Candace. If I look at the agenda, I'm just wondering, is there something that is not as critical for Chris to be a part of?
Get into it with me. Yes. You know what, Jamie? I can't see your screen, babe. Oh wait,
really?
let me.
I got you.
Oh, there it was. I see it for a split second, and then it went away.
You know what you can
Judy, do you want to start in a minute? Oh, sorry, babe.
I gotta put it on present to everyone, and then it'll stop going away when other people talk. There we go.
Awesome.
Okay, great.
Judy, do you feel like Nemea, Chris? Well, you know what? We need Chris for Nemea update. So why don't we go to, do you want to start with program updates?
Yeah, exactly. And maybe you can start, Jennifer, since you had such great news.
Absolutely. I'm actually, so it's the four of us, Jenny, Erin, Melissa, all four of us are here.
Hi, everyone.
Hi. So I'm going to let the girls go. Y'all are going to hear from me enough today.
You ladies go. Do you want to start?
Okay, we're tagging each other in over here.
So we started our new curriculum this week with all the teachers and the students. We're actually putting more than one teacher in the classroom. So we're kind of co-teaching and teaching different parts of the curriculum together and watching each other, how each one of us would do it. Math, I can update math, science, and the skills, the employability skills. It's been amazing. It's been well received, sorry. And students were really amazed at the new curriculum and how fast it was and what they were learning. We have seen that it's been really, really nice to put in the soft skills for employability. It's creating a lot more discussion, a lot more interest. So this week has gone really, really, really well. We have loved it.
Congratulations, you guys. Isn't that fantastic? Look at all your unbelievable hard work last year. And to have it come to fruition and you get to actually put it in action and see what it does. I mean, I can't imagine anything more rewarding.
Yep, we are definitely on a high.
Oh, that's so great. That's so great. I shared that with my teachers yesterday, and we're super happy for you guys. That's really fantastic.
I'm going to add one thing. I had a death in the family, so I was out Tuesday and Wednesday, and I didn't get this on Monday. That's okay, thank you. But I got to be there last night, and then I've heard the feedback from the teachers. And, you know, all great things come with challenges. So because we knew we would have low attendance to begin with because we're starting so early. For us, this is historically not the case. We normally align with the schools. So starting so early, we knew we would have less classes. So what we've done, because I had already budgeted all the classes, you know, at full capacity. So we had a training and a couple meetings with our teachers, and I said, let's work together in the classroom. So we have at least instructors. Instead of them just sitting, you know, at home or whatever, I might as well pay them, and then they're growing and learning. But it does expose maybe the people who are not quite cut out to be collaborators. And so yesterday, lo and behold, at 5:15, I have one of my teachers. She's only been here for a year, and she taught on her own prior at the offsite, you know, doing her own little magic. And she said, it doesn't work for me to get paid to watch somebody else teach. And, and I said, that's going to change. You know, we're going to grow in class size very quickly. And she goes, I don't think it's going to happen that quickly. And so this is just not for me. And really, and she was very withdrawn at our last meeting. I had noticed that. And it was really about the fact that we were just stretching her well beyond her level of comfort.
Yeah.
And when you're with other teachers in the class, you become very accountable. And it just, it wasn't her, you know,
the right fit. Mm-hmm.
Right fit. So, you know, had a great week, and I think it's still very positive, but we do have one collateral damage.
But you know how good that you get that right now, right? And then by the time you hit you know, full scale, you know, you'll be that much stronger.
So I think it's good to keep things real and look at all that goes on. So it's been a great week, but it does come with challenges.
Yeah. God, it's good to hear you, Jenny. I haven't talked to you in a bit. Okay, thank you guys.
How about ABQ GED?
Sorry, I had to unmute myself, guys.
That's okay.
Just so you know, I do have Chris on the phone, so I'm doing a little low tech, high tech, where I have my phone up against my headset. So Chris can hear you guys just fine. Whenever it's time for Chris to talk, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put him against the microphone, and hopefully you guys will be able to hear him just fine. Just let me know if the sound is too low.
Okay. Hey, Chris. Glad you could join us.
Let's put you back on speaker, Chris. Okay, go ahead and say hi, Chris.
Good morning, everybody. How are you?
Good. Hope you had some coffee already.
Hey.
Hey there. And I'm going to be off about 2 minutes here. We're literally like 2 blocks up the road, so I should be able to come on to Hangouts here in just a few minutes.
Sounds great.
Let you know that I am on, okay?
Good.
Okay. Thank you, Chris. So for Albuquerque GED, what we started this term, because our classes started on July 17th, we started piloting our IET toolkit with our 3 teachers, and we're actually meeting, the teachers are meeting at 9 o'clock this morning to discuss how the term has been going. We've been doing this for 4 weeks. So I'm really excited to see what each individual teacher has brought to the table, because we all have very unique teaching styles, and so we were able to, you know, take the resources and modify them the way that we want to within our own classrooms. And so we're going to be doing an update on that very shortly this morning. We're going to expand that when our new term starts, which I believe will be on August 21st.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to bring blended learning into it.
Mm-hmm.
So we're kind of, you know, growing that pilot. And so definitely by the time we meet with the mentees for NMEA, we'll have 2 terms of this piloted and kind of perfected and streamlined, so that we have something to really formally bring to, you know, as mentees to the table, or mentors, I'm sorry, to the table. So that's the good stuff, you know, that's the good and promising news. I do have a little bit of unfortunate news. Susan Chaudois is no longer with Albuquerque GED as of this week. So she will not be part of the C3 team anymore. So it will be me and Candace, but we're definitely going to, you know, do our very best to bring forth our A game every time for C3.
Okay. Jamie, do you guys have are you planning on bringing in a 3rd person? You know, I mean, I know, just so others know, I was aware of this, so I knew this, but I was just wondering, are you guys are you planning on bringing in another person that we would pull into C3? Like how?
We're actually meeting with Gloria on Monday. I think that we should probably wait until we have a meeting with Gloria before we answer any type of questions like that.
Okay. I can only imagine that it's hard for you internally, and then it's hard in your capacity, you know, as mentors, to lose a key player.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So pull me in as a resource if you want to, and we can kind of brainstorm and figure that out.
Absolutely. Thank you, Judy.
Yeah, you're so welcome.
Thank you.
Exciting news on your toolkit and the launch of it.
Thank you.
Good luck.
The great thing is that we started a template on our own website. If you guys recall, when we met at the convent, I was trying to show you guys our website And then we had technical difficulties, and I couldn't show you how we had started to put a teacher resource area on our website. And the way that Google Sites works is once you make changes and you publish it, you can't decide to publish something that you've made and then not publish other things. And because there's been newer changes, we have to leave that on there, even though the toolkit's not even ready to upload. But I've already gotten a request on our website for that resource from the Westside Community Center here in Albuquerque. They just wanted, they wanted to see our resources so that they can try to, provide that for their clients. It was oddly cool.
Huh, that's great.
That's awesome, Jamie.
Thank you.
We are actually doing a journaling process through the pilot phase as well, so that we can fully reflect on everything that every instructor is doing and give a more accurate report. And I will, after we meet this morning, I'll get something together and I'll post some type of a report back to the group on Google Classroom so that you can have a little bit better idea as to how we're doing it collectively.
Thanks for sharing that, guys.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
What about tech? So, everyone, I have lots of great news to share, but I'm a little concerned that we have 45 minutes, and I'm going, oh my God, we have a lot of other things to talk about too. So, I'm not going to go into detail at all, other than to say the energy in our program is through the ceiling, where I think last year's work is really coming to fruition. Over the summer, we created a blended learning math and career pathways curriculum that is being launched with videos, and it was a great collaboration between Faith and John, our two math teachers, with a lot of technology, with the idea that eventually it could go to the whole state if we ever got that far. And then there's a bunch of other things. We've been connecting with Chris around ESL things. We're developing a solar technology strand. So our main challenge is, yet again, we're starting the year with way too much on our plates, and we have stomach aches about that. So that's kind of our context. But I won't take up more space because I just feel like we need to talk about other things as well, and I want to make sure we give Chris some space too.
Great. Chris, are you at a point where it's a good time to give an update?
We are. This morning has been a comedy of errors, and I get into work, and we're rushing so that I can get you guys on Hangouts, only to find out that the internet is down. So it is the old-fashioned way, I guess. But one of the things that we have been doing here is that ESP for customer service, and we've had several weeks of professional development with the staff here, and we're looking at rolling that out for two of our ESL classes. One of them possibly is a distance learning class working with Bonsai up in Taos, and then the other one using here at the site. We also expanded from the ESL to 5, and then have just been doing a whole bunch of continuous improvement, all of it based on the articles that we've been reading through C3. So my staff has been utilizing our material and then using that for curriculum development and also for planning for our next semester. We're still in our second semester of the summer, which will end on August 25th. And then we have a week of professional development and registration. And then our first day of classes for the fall is September 4th. So things have been really, really busy. But the CSP is looking really, really good. It's something that we're using for that El Super project. And since Monse had approached us about wanting to do some ESL, that was one of the things we're thinking of doing, unless they, decide to pick another level of ESL. But the big thing that we're doing in terms of ESL and WIOA compliance is try to include work readiness. And the other big piece is that whole speaking and listening component, which generally gets ignored in ESL classes. So that's basically what's been happening here. It's been a very busy time. Everybody's had something to do. And we just had our graduation, by the way.
Oh, fantastic.
Yay!
Had 100 and I want to say it's 110 graduates, 120, something like that. So we've been good. We've been really good. Really busy, but really good.
Good. Okay.
That's great. Hey, Judy, you want to go back to C3
Yes.
contract and program update?
Yes, please. So, okay, so this is where we're at. For Albuquerque GED and Catholic Charities, I'm going to send you your MOUs today. So you should get those today. Then, it'll be between, you'll sign those and give those to Francis. They're not, as with last year, they're not directly with UNM Taos. So that's what that's what your programs will be doing. So Chris, yesterday, Jessica, your finance person, sent me an invoice for July. I can't pay that because you don't have an MOU yet. I had a conversation with Francis. I didn't want to write this because you're really not supposed to do this, but I had a conversation with Francis where once those MOUs are in place, or MOAs, I don't know which one it is, tell you the truth. It doesn't say it on it. It just calls us the grantee. Once they're in place, then you will bill us as if you can't do it retroactively. It needs to look as if you just put the time in, from here forward. Do you know what I'm saying? So you have to fudge the dates basically and say, let's say you've already invested, 30 hours or whatever you have. It has to start when the MOU is signed. It can't be before that for you guys to get paid. Francis is aware of that, and we spoke about it, and we both felt that that was the greater good, just to make sure people can get paid and aren't penalized for time lags in getting these out. Does that make sense?
Sure it does. No problem. And I'll make sure to tell Jessica that today. That won't be an issue.
Okay. I diced want to write it to her. I sent her an email last night that said, sorry, I can't pay this yet, and I'll talk with Chris. That's kind of a dicey thing to write. Okay. For San Juan College and for UNM Taos, we are bogged down, San Juan, because you're part of UNM Taos. So we have a brand new CEO, started July 5th, who now wants to run all contracts through the legal department at main campus. And that is a bummer because I understand why it's important. I can't argue. It's not something that they did in the past for contracts on this scale. It's relatively small. But that's what the new CEO wants to do. So I expressed to him that this is a continuation of last year, that it wasn't the procedure that we had last year, that there's a huge pressure to be underway. And he said he would do everything he can to expedite it. But honest to God, I don't know. I don't know enough about the legal department to know what that means. So there is a delay on our part. So I spoke with Francis yesterday to see if I could give Catholic Charities and Albuquerque GED your contracts already. I was reluctant to do that because I felt like UNM Taos had to make sure we got it so that you can get it. But you guys are, small and, well, I mean, Catholic Charities, you're not, but more in the nonprofit world. I thought, why don't we at least get yours out? I can't fathom that this won't happen. It's not like we're doing experiments on human beings or something. I think it's going to be wordsmithing. It's going to be tweaking language. But I do need to say to San Juan, and maybe Jenny, if you want to weigh in, like what are the implications for you guys? Because again, you can't bill, you can't be paid until these are in place.
Ladies? What can we do?
I mean, we're okay.
I think we can just work and then build.
We're just going to work. We're going to do what we need to do, Judy. And when it catches up, then we'll figure it out then.
Yeah. On our end, it's super hard because for our full-time people like Nina and myself, it's not a big deal. We're fine. I have a bunch of really part-time people. Oops. Anyway, it's a hardship for them. I'm trying to figure out how to pay them out of something else and then reimburse them, but it's complicated. So we really are disappointed, and it's not what our business office had said. And the CEO, I guess, as soon as he was informed, just, I don't blame him. It's probably the right way to go. So my apologies, truly, because I know getting paid is super important, and it has impacts on morale and individuals and programs. And I can just say I'm doing the best I can to keep it moving forward.
So Judy, just a very quick question. I had mentioned this back in October. If you know how we get our state, we get our federal, and we get instructional materials. If the state simply did a C3, and just like they do instructional materials, for us it's a different account number. I'm assuming for you guys as well. Yep. And then there's an amount in it. And if they did something where it's C3, then we could handle it through our business office. We could still get you, we could get you to approve. I'd be a signature person here, obviously, but in other words, we would never charge anything without first making you aware of it so that you feel that you can approve it officially. And then we would turn in those timesheets, and we could do a supplemental. Though I don't know about Miss Support over here. No, Erin could not do that because she's support staff, actually.
So Jenny, maybe that's something, I'm going to try to get an update next week because they said they're going to call legal, and let's see what the horizon is. It kind of, it gives me a stomach ache because UNM main campus is a dinosaur. I'm like, ugh. But maybe I'm wrong. Let's look at that. And if it looks really problematic, I'm just going to pick up the phone and call you and say, what can we do? And can we think other ways so that you guys can get paid?
But just to let you know, I'm assuming it's the same everywhere. Yes, professional staff, support staff. Do you guys have those same categories?
Yes.
Okay. And so because Erin is support staff, which is crazy to me, because data management leads rather than teaching, she is not eligible for supplemental here whatsoever.
Okay. So let's cross that bridge when we need to. And then the other thing I wanted to say about contracts, and I think it was ambiguous, and again, this was in a conversation with Francis, but in terms of the rate of pay, there's been questions about, does everyone get $40 an hour? Can a program decide if it's less than $40 an hour? The way this contract's going to read is that the recommendation is $40 an hour. The reason for that is it's really to elevate the status of somebody who's mentoring. It's a leadership role, and it's to compensate people. But ultimately, it's the program's discretion. It's the decision maker to decide how to best allocate that money. So for example, at UNM Taos, I do have some differential between what Nina gets and what some of the other teachers get, and we have to factor in benefits. So at UNM Taos, what I did was, with the other teachers like Faith and John, they get closer, just a little more than their hourly rate. See, they're very part-time. And then when you factor in their benefits, they're right around $40 an hour. And then with Nina, because she has such a large role, I am trying to pay her $40 an hour. But probably part of that money will also offset her existing salary. So I don't know if that's complicated, but it's looking at how can a program, especially small programs, maybe do this without imploding, because it's just an extra layer of responsibility. So part of, for example, part of my salary is just going to be I'm going to work part of my existing 40 hours and it's just going to pay for that. And then some of it is going to be above and beyond my 40 hours. So that kind of working with the money ultimately is up to the program about how to honor teachers' time and create some equity in your program and in the field, and at the same time, how to best function as a program to be able to pull all of this off. And that I ultimately leave with programs to decide. But the most important thing in all of this is that when you look at your budget, which is close to $25,000, is that you make sure that people are getting their benefits. If they're getting benefits, it's not above and beyond. So that money is solely for salary and benefits that are directed towards C3 deliverables.
And Judy, from the learning curve from last year, I would say that if I compute 20% of what is being paid, that should be about the benefits, so that we don't go over, like, we had a bit of a problem.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's a little less than 20, but 20% is an easy. So for example, if we just paid out $800, I need to add 20% of $800. So really we have paid out, 960, whatever. Does that make sense?
Yes, exactly. So that's how I'm doing it as well.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
Okay. Any questions about that? No. Okay. So Jamie and Chris, at some point today, I'm going to send you your contracts, and then you will review those, sign, and send to Francis.
Will do.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judy.
Yeah, you bet.
Do we want to go to NMEA update?
Sure.
It's really it's a Judy show today a little bit because you have all the updates for us, my friend.
Okay. It's okay. Just
do you want to explain why you're doing NMEA?
Yeah, help me to stay on track because I know that time is sensitive.
Sure.
So, Tina and I have been in conversations with Francis about how NMEA's the NMEA agenda, and there's a couple new things that well, I don't even know how to describe it. Francis has worked with Sandy Myers, the woman who's coordinating the conference, and they have made some decisions about what's going to happen. Some may be good, some I'm concerned about. So one decision is Francis is hiring the folks, our links people that are in California, for the western part of the state, Paul Heavenrich, I think their literacy works, hiring them to do what she had said she wanted to do already last year, which is to do a year-long professional development with a small group of programs, probably a small group of teachers, I'm not even sure, to do constructivism, collaboration, communities of practice, where teachers are guides and not, the sage on the stage, and to facilitate that kind of theory behind teaching with an outcome that those programs are developing a curriculum based on those principles. So the women that are running that is Kathy St. John, who's done a lot in our state before. She's a literacy person. I don't know if people know her. And this other woman, Kathy Harris, who I've heard of, I've never personally met. I think she has a ton of experience. She's known nationally. She's at Georgia, which has a very strong degree program in adult education. I know Kathy Harris, for Chris For You, has done a lot with ESL.
Okay.
And she's on links. She's high caliber. I don't know what she's like personally, but Literacy Works contracted with her to pull her in to help facilitate that for the state. When I spoke with Francis, I'm like, Francis, how are you thinking this is going to dovetail with C3 and NMDELT and how it's all going to come together? How are you going to put out an application process for that? Is it going to be the same same programs, different programs? How are you going to inform the field? None of that's been thought through. Like, as I'm asking the questions, I feel like it's like, oh, okay, well then how are we going to do that? So the good news in this is, I guess this is from my perspective, the good news in this is Frances is connecting these two women with Tina and myself to figure out how to coordinate it all, so we're together and complementing each other and not trains running in different directions. So hopefully it will just strengthen what we do, and hopefully it can bring in other programs to have professional development who may not have gotten it in the round this year. Hopefully it'll deepen what we do. I fully anticipate that I'm coming back to you guys with your recommendations for should it be the same as our mentees or different, or should it be the mentors, us, that are also part of it, so we know what's going on. I think all of that's going to need some thought, and we have a conference call with these folks next week. So I think at our next meeting, the next time we have our C3 meeting, maybe I can give you more substance and we can kind of think together how best to roll all of this out. So questions about that part? Concerns, questions, anything you want me to be aware of as I go into the first meeting with those folks?
Does it really have to be links?
It really has to be links. Yeah, I think Frances is under pressure to contract with them, and they have the national recognition and the federal stamp of approval with Octave. And I actually think, Candace, that contract is already signed. So there's no negotiation there.
Okay.
I'm curious about the demands that are being put on programs. C3, this new initiative, that's a lot for programs to take on.
I agree.
And they're done in pockets. We're not collaborating, so I'm concerned about that.
Okay. I am too. I can already feel it in me. I'm like, oh my God, how am I going to pull all this together? Because Frances is kind of looking at me and going, well, how is this going to work? And I'm like, I don't know. It wasn't even my decision to do it, right? So, yes. So the demands on the program. Yeah. Got it. That's useful to hear. I think we need a person whose full-time job is to do statewide professional development and coordinate all of this and pull it together, and that's just not there. So
we already have that job position filled.
Yeah, I know. So that it's just problematic that way. So, okay, so that's one part of NMEA. If you think of anything else that you really are like, God, when when you're all working together, make sure you consider A, B, or C, please let me know. But I think the sense of the enormity of what's happening all at the same time is probably the greatest concern. So the next part of that is because according to Frances, because she was having a hard time, difficulty connecting with NMEA, Frances went ahead and made some decisions with Sandy about the NMEA conference. And Frances was not aware, I'm sorry to say this, it just breaks your heart. Frances was not aware that both C3 and NM Delt were going to have a significant strand as an outcome of our retreat in early June when we said that's what we're going to do. So Frances was not aware of that. There's one slot that's 2 sessions. So I think that might be 2.5 hours maybe. Forgive me if I'm not exactly sure how long a session is. Where C3 and NM Delt are together. So we have yet to design what that's going to be. And at that point, that was our only slot, a shared slot with NM Delt. That was our only slot in the whole conference. So I've been speaking with Francis and saying, we really have other things that we really want to share with the field, and how can we do that? Francis is trying to figure that out with Sandy. But I think it's important that we have more than one session. And my thought was we should have one really about the shifts in practice, because that feels like a training. You know what I'm saying? That's like where teachers are that's like a training part of what are the shifts in practice for language arts and the shift in practice for math. And then maybe we can talk about the models of all our programs, the financial literacy, ACE, all the work that you've been doing, Chris, your, English for special purposes and customer service, and tech around IET for rural development. So I think those models we can bring forth at our joint session. That I also said to Francis, directors need to be at that joint session. It's not just a teacher strand. So that was my thinking. So if we could at least get 2 additional sessions about shifts in practice, but none of that's carved in stone. I went back to our notes and we were saying we would do shifts in practice and models. So that's where I was thinking models in our joint session and shifts in practice separately. I don't know if we're going to even get more time, to tell you the truth. She's working on that. So input about that. I guess input, not so much input of bummer that we have all that work and it didn't, I'm like, how did that happen? But but input around, if we had only a very few additional sessions, 1 or 2, what is your recommendation as to what they are? We started this morning with so much energy. Is everyone ready to?
Well, I think, Judy, I think, one of the things it's after all the work that everybody has done, and it's been a very productive year that way, to hear that we're kind of an afterthought at the conference, and that's my own phrasing, you didn't say that, I did, is a little disappointing,
Yeah.
And so when you're asking that question, I'm still processing what you said before that.
Fair enough. I agree.
I'm with Chris on that one.
Yeah, Chris, I totally agree. And it's really what I said to Francis. I'm like, Francis, what in the world? And she said, well, I didn't know. And I said to her, Amy was there. How could you not know? This was one of our major achievements, I thought, in our retreat, was we were wanting to highlight the strengths of New Mexico, the work that we've done. Francis was apologetic. But I'm disappointed as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm disappointed. If it seems like, the design of NMEA has been an effort between Francis and Sandy Myers. And as far as I can tell, nobody else has had input. Tina did not have input. I didn't. Jennifer couldn't get through. I don't even know if NMEA weighed in. NMEA's been focusing on the 50th celebration and not on the content, according to Francis. So I think that's disappointing as well.
Well, the big thing is that we have nothing but content, and it's disappointing to hear that things have to be outsourced when we've turned out so many deliverables and so many incredible work products. That just about everything that we could probably run every hour of this conference,
right,
with the amount of work that we've put out there. So to just have an hour here or an hour there, I think an afternoon is probably warranted, in terms of what we've done, why we did it, the foundations that were set, the shifts in practice, the different things that we had to study and that we had to learn.
Mm-hmm.
And be able to mentor other sites, and to be able to set that platform and build that foundation is incredibly important. And I don't think an hour really cuts it, quite honestly.
Well, we have more than an hour. Well, I'm not sure. We have combined 2 sessions combined that we're sharing with NM Delta. So it's not 1 session, it's 2 sessions shared. But without a doubt, Chris, whether it's an hour or 2 hours, it's way less than what we were thinking that we had. I really thought we're going to have a strand through the whole thing. And that we'd have to balance how to do that with people needing LACES training and, still getting updates. And so we would, look at the whole picture and figure out how to weave that in. And I thought Jennifer would be doing that. But it does not look like that's where it stands.
So my question becomes, Judy, and it's not necessarily a question to you. I think it's just more kind of a I don't want to say rhetorical, but more of a general question, is where are we then, or where do we stand in terms of what we're doing, the initiative that we've started? It's great that we want to do, and that we have the objectives and we have that we have outcomes and that we've got goals set for ourselves, but almost impossible to do that if we're separate but equal from the state and what the state's direction is. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So where do you see us standing in that, or how do we get a bigger voice or a bigger platform that way? Because I don't think it's impossible,
I could dovetail off that, Chris. We keep hearing this communication issue coming up all the time. Saya didn't know about the budget. Francis didn't know about the outcomes of the retreat. What's the solution? Because we know what the problem is. How do we solve this? It keeps coming up. There are some communication issues, and what can we do to make sure that we're being transparent and proactive about communicating that? How can we fix the communication issue? And I'm not looking for an answer right now.
Well, I think the question's brilliant, and it's, so from my perspective, the place where I have success, the only place I have success, is when I have a conversation with Francis and I say, this is what we need. And then she comes around. And then so like Francis was not included. She wasn't at the retreat and it just fell apart, and I'm thinking there was no need to communicate with Francis because her department's there and all of that. It's so maybe, or with anything with budgets, it has to be Francis and Saya. And maybe with anything, I think we, and it's probably me, just need to have, and maybe sometimes it's a we, have more frequent conversations with the leadership team, and where we just say, this is what we need, because then they had that happened right after the retreat, I think we would be in a different place right now, because Francis, I do think as a human being, she is supportive. I think in terms of her leadership capacity and the dysfunction in the office, it just, the follow through is awful, or the awareness is awful, or they have just internal dysfunction. So maybe that's the way.
So, Judy, we're well overdue for a meeting with Francis, Saya, and Dean Attribute at the same time. We have never.
Yeah, Jenny, I lost you, but I think that's right. I think we need direct communication with leadership, and it has to extend way beyond the directors' chats.
Could we not invite them to like 1 or 2 monthly meetings that they need to be on for a certain amount of time?
I think that's a great idea. Maybe that's exactly right. They could come into these.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, we're all together.
I was thinking we could also send them an update of some sort. Like Google Drive has a little template for a newsletter. Even if it's just 1 page, we could send them like some type of a monthly or bi-monthly update so that they don't forget what we're doing and forget that they have that capacity within the state and don't necessarily have to outsource.
Yep.
Yeah. But our needs could be closer identified. Maybe if we sent them updates but send it to everyone. I don't know if that would work or not.
I think all those venues make sense. To have more communication is the way to go. I also really like face-to-face or on the phone and saying, this is where we're headed, this is what we're doing, are you on board? Great, this is what we need from you.
Well, could we, and that's what I'm asking, Judy, could we not call a meeting face-to-face? And you know what, if we go to Santa Fe, they can't really run away too far.
Yeah.
We haven't had all 3 of them, all of C3. They've obviously increased our budget. So to me, we're well overdue with showing up in Santa Fe and having a 2-hour session with them. And we have the money to do it.
Yeah. So I think that's a great idea. And I think we can express more what we've achieved, where we've struggled, what hasn't worked, what has worked, what hasn't worked, and really, you know, what we need to be working as a high functioning team and to have them on board. So I think it's just a matter then of us deciding we should capitalize on that if we're going to do it and incorporate, you know, that we're doing other work as well. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Maybe it's around, I don't know what your guys' travel's like, and if you're insanely busy at this moment, which, you know, I can imagine programs are. But if we're going to, you know, the whole process of choosing the mentees, and then, you know, we talked about different configurations for teams. And Francis wants to be part of the choosing the mentees. Maybe that's the context. And then within that, if we do that in Santa Fe, or maybe if Albuquerque and they travel to Albuquerque, either way.
I think we should travel to their front door. I really do. And if we could pick a Friday, because now their classes are in session and we have onboarding on Friday, but I think if everybody from C3 could show up, I mean, kind of like the meeting of the minds, and I don't think we should wait. I think it should happen either by the end of this month or the earlier part of September before the conference. At least that would be my recommendation.
So you said pre-NMEA, is that correct?
Pre-NMEA. I think
so. Maybe you guys, the segue is looking at the when we look at the mentee applications and the dates for that, because I do think, you know, we're going to make those mentee decisions prior to NMEA, and it makes all the sense in the world to me to do those two things together.
Agreed. Mm-hmm. And we have about 10 minutes left. Just a time check.
So I'm throwing two dates out, the 25th, which is Friday, August 25th, or September 8th. And I'm just putting those. I don't know.
Jenny, let me backtrack a second. Jennifer and I went back to work on the mentee application, and we looked at the dates for rolling it out. Like, when are we putting that out to the field, and when do they have to apply by, and when are we going to select by? And in our notes, there's tons of confusions. The notes, I think they were just typos, and it just doesn't make sense. So why don't we construct those dates right now?
So have a good recollection of what we initially said, because in the notes it doesn't make sense. We can't go back and follow our train of thought. So does anybody just remember what we said?
Or took notes yourself and you have it written down?
In terms of the mentee lineup, you're saying? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes. What was our commitment to the day we're giving it to the field, the day they need to give it back, and when we're going to decide by? There's 3 dates.
I thought we were meeting on the 18th to confirm everything, and we were going to roll it out the following Monday, which would be the 21st.
Okay, so if we put it out to the field on the 21st, it goes out. Then did we say 2 weeks?
Yes, we did.
I think we had said September 1st that they would be due, because that would give them pretty much 2 full weeks.
Yeah, because September 1st was a Friday, and I think if we launch it on the 21st, that gives them 2 business weeks, 2 business, and that's due on the 1st.
Okay, and then we could potentially give HED either the September 8th or even the 15th. Would that work?
I mean, it can. I'm just telling you that we're onboarding on Friday the 15th. So for us, the only date, if I'm going to include my team, is September 8th.
Okay.
We can make September 8th happen.
Okay. Chris, was that a yay?
Yes, absolutely.
and meet in Santa Fe, and we'll make the decisions, and I like that. So I'll propose that to Francis.
Perfect.
Are you foreseeing a full day for that?
I am.
Okay.
Hey, Judy.
Yes.
If you could, for that presentation, or not presentation, but for that meeting with Francis, some of the materials that we've worked on, et cetera, and so on, if you could bring those folders with you that I've sent up with you from the retreat.
Of course.
That's a whole library of materials that we have compiled as a collaborative group. And that's kind of a record of all of that, kind of like a grant book, if you would. So that would be something great to be able to show her. And also that, as she has handed articles to us, how we have disseminated those articles and sort of deconstructed them and taken them in pieces and then put them back together in terms of theory and practice with our staff, et cetera, and so on. That's a lot of work.
Right.
And it would be great for her to be able to see that and acknowledge that, we haven't just been having some sort of, education 101 class, but that this is a serious initiative,
Right.
that should rival, if not trump, the outsourcing of whatever, the best professional development you can have is, professional development that's homegrown, that's internal. And when we talk about this piece of this new learning style, not the sage on the stage, but more of a guide, then that model should start with this meeting, don't you think?
Yes. So I like that. So we should have a presentation about really, what we've achieved this first year.
Yeah.
So do we want to add that to the agenda for our next meeting?
Sure.
The preparation for the actual meeting in Santa Fe?
Sure.
That's not what we were looking at.
So then would that be for our next meeting that we'll have together, we would be looking at the mentee application and getting ready to roll it out that day and then preparing to go meet with Francis, is that correct?
There may be some other things as well, Candace. I'm just not, let me think. I was hoping that today we could even look at the draft of the application. I know Jennifer posted it. We have things around the mentor model. We have things around the logo. We have things about the website. There's planning around, I need to give feedback about NMEA itself. And if we hopefully do get more sessions, then who's doing them. So there, it'll be a full agenda. I'm wondering if some of this we can't just do, by email as well.
Sure.
Okay.
And Chris, are you still willing to host the unofficial mentee kickoff?
Of course. I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be great. And maybe that's something also that we invite Francis to. I mean, I don't know. I'm just putting that out there. Maybe Francis and Amy should be a part of that. This is a pretty monumental This is a pretty monumental occasion in the sense that, this is the little grant that has become this really big, piece of professional development and quite the initiative. And wouldn't it be great to have them be a part of that, so that, so that we're more synthesized as opposed to, oh yeah, by the way, there's C3, that doesn't feel good.
That does not feel good.
And if they don't like it, we'll throw them in the pool. It's totally fine.
That's perfect.
Look at everyone doing African dance, Chris.
That's right. Oh, I will.
And then away we go.
That's right. That would be a great time.
So, Chris, thank you.
Of course. Thank you. Absolutely.
So, on that day, you guys, I'm sorry, Jennifer. I'm not adhering to the.
No, it's okay. The unofficial mentee kickoff will be on the 27th that evening at Chris's house, and then Chris, baby, you, Judy, and I can work together on the details of that and see what we need to do to get food and everything taken care of. But we can work on that.
Sure,
sounds
that'd be no
great.
problem. That sounds fantastic. Thank you.
And you guys, on that day of the 27th, Francis or Amy sent out an email, if you saw that on the director's list, that there's a director's meeting 3 to 4:30.
Mm-hmm.
And then the question is, are we still able to meet, earlier that day? I was thinking we could meet, capitalize on being there on the 27th, which we talked about in our, and had in our notes, that we would have at least some part of that day, and then we could be part of the director's meeting, and then we go to Chris's and really help with anything that you need, and to be ready to welcome our new folks, which is going to be so exciting.
It'll be really nice. It'll be a really nice time.
We talked about like a 12 to 3 C3 thing, so we can give people time to travel that morning.
Yeah.
Does that still work?
Yeah, that
Yes.
sounds, I think that
Yes.
works.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then on the NMEA agenda on the 28th, there's this slot where it's just this downtime that says we meet with the publishers table. Francis explained that they need to do that because the publishers pay for the conference, and so they need people there. But I was able to negotiate that during that time we would have our first official meeting between mentors and mentees.
Mm-hmm.
And so just a subset of us are not going to the publishers tables and are using that time because we don't have time. They didn't, so that we can meet with our group and do introductions and everyone knows each other, and talk about the expectations and how we work together. I think more than anything, I think there should be just a lot of clarity around expectations, so people know what they're, what it's about, and really time to connect and feel part of something that's been wonderful.
Judy, if you need volunteers to be a part of that, I never go to the publishers event anyway. I would be happy to be a part of that.
Yeah, well, I think that we should all be part of.
Good.
It's our official welcome. This is all of who we are. This is what we've done. This is the framework. We'll have to design that.
Perfect. No, that'll be really nice.
Okay. How we doing, Jennifer? Oh.
We are at 9:00. Let's see. We have. Go ahead, Judy. Go ahead.
Well, Jennifer and I had looked at the Menti application one more time and did another revision to condense it. And Jennifer posted it in Classroom. Is that right? Is that where I saw it, Jennifer?
Yeah, it's still up, and it's in Classroom and on Drive.
Okay. So maybe as homework, if everyone can look at that for the final blessing. The piece that's missing is I want to take all the work that's done with mission, vision, background, all of that, and put it in one page. So I'm just going to condense it. And then there should also be, and we have part of that, it just still needs some wordsmithing, I think, around requirements or expectations, but trying to delineate upfront, these are the expectations of your participation. So one is a one-pager about who we are, and the next is, hopefully less than a page of this is what C3, if you're applying, these are the expectations for your participation.
With an emphasis on time. So C3 time paired with a program matched time.
Yeah. Jennifer and I were both reflecting that it takes way more time than what you're paid for. So the programs need to, invest their own program time as well as the time that's going to be paid by C3. Mm-hmm. So I will write those 2 pages up, but it's there. It's just paring it down. And maybe adding more clarification. I will do that next week. And if you guys at least look at the application before then and see if you can live with it at this point, I think it should be, can you live with it? And then I'll put out the other 2 pages, see, what you can and can't live with in that. And then I think there's no reason why you can't go out to the field on the 21st.
No.
Okay. Sounds
Excellent.
good.
Next C3 phone meeting will be next Friday on
I
the
think so.
at 8:00 a.m.
Does that work for everyone? I know we had to miss last week's, but I would like, rather than have it 2 weeks from now, I would just go back on the schedule we had. And, I think we have a lot to do and a lot to talk about.
Works for me.
I won't be able to be there. We have convocation next week, and there's some meetings I have to attend. And there's a meeting for me on Friday at 8 a.m. So I will not be here, but my team should be here.
Okay, good.
But Jennifer won't be here. But Aaron
I
and
also
Melissa
won't be here, but Aaron and Melissa will be here.
And
Okay.
we will be on the meeting. We have a 9 o'clock staff meeting, so we will have to end right at 9, but we will be there at 8.
Okay.
Well, and Judy, just to go back to the meeting minutes, on the timeline I show here, Menti application will go out August 24th. And the application due date was August 11th, and the Menti selection was September 1st on the notes.
You just said August 24th and August 11th. Something doesn't happen.
The due date, the due date for us to have it in, for the application to be done was the 11th.
Oh, was that
The
for us?
application will go out on the 24th.
And when will it be due?
And Menti selection will be September 1st.
Okay,
So
I
we
think
gave him
Melissa. Yeah, we have a good schedule now, but she just explained to me, Judy, what the August 11th date was our due date to have it up, so it makes more sense now. But we're good with it. We're good with the dates.
Yes. To reiterate our dates.
The launch would be they would go out to the field on the 21st. They're due back September 1st, and we'll be meeting in Santa Fe on September 8th, hopefully with the state at the table to pick and then to collaborate with the state with C3.
Yes. Sounds
Okay.
good to me, you guys.
Excellent.
All right, everyone. Thank you. That was really an incredibly productive meeting. And I know there's always challenges, but I so deeply appreciate the passion and the willingness to make things work and the good ideas for how to move forward. So blessings to you all as you kick off your next semester, your next session.
Thank you.
Thank
Ditto. Same to you.
Thank you. You guys have a good weekend.
Thank you.
Have a good weekend, guys.
All
Bye-bye.
right.
Bye.